What happens when a high school girl switches bodies with a middle-aged serial killer? A lot of clapping. So the film kicks off with Ginny, Evan, Isaac, and Sandra, a squad of teenagers who clearly haven't seen enough horror movies. They're chilling around a campfire at Ginny's house, swapping ghost stories and roasting marshmallows. The story of Joyce, the legendary butcher, a serial killer with a serious case of the crazies who hasn't been caught yet. But don't worry, it's just a legend, right? Haha. Isaac, playing it cool, decides to spook Sandra, causing her to spill her drink all over herself. Not cool, man. Sandra storms into the house for a wardrobe rescue, with Isaac on her tail to say sorry. Once inside, Isaac gets distracted by Ginny's dad's antique art collection, because who doesn't love dusty relics? He spots a unique dagger chilling in a crate, and can't help but take a look. Meanwhile, Sandra's on a quest for some cleanup supplies when Isaac leaves the dagger on the counter and ventures into the basement. He discovers a stash of vintage wine and grabs a bottle, but is startled by a sudden noise and drops it. Classic horror movie mistake. Out of nowhere, the butcher appears and gives Isaac a lethal wine bottle necktie. Yikes. Poor Sandra gets the bathroom ambush treatment and her skull meets the toilet seat in a not-so-refreshing encounter. Evan and Ginny are blissfully unaware, having a good time as if they're living in a rom-com. But not for long. Ginny walks away, unimpressed by Evan's antics, and the butcher introduces Evan to his new best friend, a tennis racket, to the head. Ouch. Ginny, now in full panic mode, dashes into the mansion to play a high-stakes game of hide-and-seek. The butcher launches a spear in her direction, but he must have skipped his morning coffee because he misses. Ginny sneaks into a closet and finds a secret door like she's in Narnia or something. She hears her parents return home and breathes a sigh of relief. Too soon, Ginny. The butcher has other plans and gives her a personal spear hug against the wall. And to top it off, he swipes that ancient dagger on his way out. Rude. Fast forward to Millie, a girl just trying to enjoy breakfast with her mom and cop sister Charlene. Things have been tense since their dad passed away, but Millie's trying to keep it together. Charlene, not so much. She gets called into work and in a fit of passive-aggressive pettiness, tosses their breakfast in the trash, uncovering an empty liquor bottle. Because family drama pairs well with breakfast, right? Charlene rolls her eyes as she catches her mom hitting the sauce again, like she's auditioning for the next Real Housewives of Dysfunction. Later, Millie heads to school with her squad, Nyla and Joshua, ready to face another day in teenage jungle. At school, Millie's wardrobe becomes a target of a wannabe Regina George named Ryler. It's all Gucci though, because Millie's too busy crushing on Booker, the human embodiment of heart eye emojis. Later, Millie rocks up late to her carpentry class, and Mr. Fletcher, the teacher who probably peaked in high school, gives her a verbal smackdown. As if that's not enough, when Millie can't give her presentation, he humiliates her in front of the whole class, earning him the Worst Teacher of the Year award in Millie's book. Suddenly, everyone's phones buzz with an emergency alert, like a bunch of caffeinated bees. 4 students were brutally clapped last night, and there's a serial killer on the loose. But hey, it's homecoming, so the party must go on, right? Millie goes all out in her school mascot gig, but some football jocks decide to taunt her, proving they have the IQ of a football. Later, Millie says her goodbyes and waits for her mom to pick her up, but surprise, mom's out cold on the couch after one too many cocktails. Charlene gives her a wake-up call, but Millie's phone dies, leaving her stranded. Soon, Millie spots a masked man across the street and she's convinced he's the butcher. Classic horror movie move. She hides under the bleachers. Millie thinks she's safe, but nope. The killer pops up like an unwanted YouTube ad. Gotcha. She tries to run, but he catches her faster than an iPhone battery drains. The butcher whips out an ancient dagger and its gem glows like a discount glow stick. He stabs Millie's shoulder, but gets wounded too, like some twisted buy one get one deal. Charlene shows up just in time to fire a warning shot and the confused butcher books it. At the police station, Millie is low-key freaking out. The ancient dagger, Dola, is now evidence and its magic is about to get wild. That night, it lulls Millie to sleep and she wakes up transformed. Looking around, she touches her chest in confusion. Meanwhile, the butcher wakes up in an old mill, also acting rather weird. Dola's witchcraft has body swapped them. Millie's now a 6.5-foot serial killer, while the butcher's trapped in a teenage girl's body. Haha, boy. Back at Millie's house, the butcher in Millie's body is struggling to blend in, but he's got one goal: kill the fam. He grabs a knife, eyes on Charlene, but Millie's mom swoops in, taking the weapon. Oblivious, she has no idea that her daughter's body is now a deadly Airbnb. She just chalks everything up to her daughter going through some trauma. Too scared to pry, she leaves it at that. Meanwhile, Millie's out here playing hide-and-seek with the butcher's body. The poor girl's struggling. I mean, whose gym class prepared her for this? Not to mention the guy's mug is all over the news, courtesy of Picasso from the precinct. And wouldn't you know it, some eagle-eyed civilian spots him and Millie's off to the races. Now this is where it gets spicy. The butcher's having a grand old time in Millie's body. Seriously, he's making her look like she just stepped off a Vogue cover. Her buddies, Nyla and Joshua, approach her, but get snubbed. It's like he's suddenly the cool kid in school. And when Ryler, the typical opportunist, shows up, the butcher doesn't bat an eyelash. Instead, he's like, hey, let's hang out so I can, casually kill you. Meanwhile, Millie's sneaking to the school showers, trying to scrub off the scent of kitty pee from her new, borrowed body. She's oblivious to the chit-chat happening in the locker room between Ryler and the butcher posing as her. The butcher playing the long game suggests to Ryler that she had in a cryo tank. Ryler, not exactly the sharpest knife in the drawer, follows the advice. After her shower, Millie stumbles upon a popsicle Ryler who, let's just say, breaks rather easily. Later, Butcher as Millie attends a woodshop class, where Booker gets a finger reduction. Butcher as Millie helps by attempting a little first aid, by mouth. When the teacher, Mr. Fletcher, catches them, he tells off Millie for her finger food antics. Meanwhile, Joshua and Nyla are chilling, waiting for their friend. Suddenly, serial killer-bodied Millie shows up, and understandably, they freak out. Millie's like, hey, it's me. But Nyla's instinctive response is a swift kick to the family jewels. Millie tries to convince them, but they're not buying it. Instead, they turn their kitchen into a DIY weapons factory, and Millie, not quite used to her new Hulk strength, accidentally hurts them. Eventually, everyone's tuckered out from the WWE tryouts, and they take a breather. Millie seizes the moment and busts out her secret weapon, her stellar mascot ballet moves. A quiz about Millie's specific trivia later, and her friends are finally convinced it's really her. They relocate to the boys' bathroom for story time, where Millie spills the beans about the Aztec sacrificial dagger, the Dola. Joshua, a master Googler, learns that they've got 24 hours to reverse the body swap or they're stuck like this forever. Meanwhile, Millie's making the most of her new body and gives her bully a taste of his own medicine. Let's just say he had a bit of a wet experience. Finally, Joshua and Nyla regroup with Millie, determined to find the Dola before the sands of time run out. But first, they gotta stop the Butcher from turning Millie's body into a serial killer's paradise. So get this, our pal, the Butcher, casually strolls back into Carpentry 101 with a vendetta against Mr. Fletcher. Mr. Fletcher, with a brave heart and a screwdriver, does his best to fend him off. But alas, he's no match for the Butcher's meaty might. In a scene straight out of a B-grade horror movie, oh wait, the Butcher gives him a screwdriver necktie and then kindly introduces him to the business end of a circular saw. Ouch. Exiting the classroom, the Butcher spots the fuzz doing their rounds. No sweat, he thinks, as he bumps into Joshua, Nyla, and the genuine Millie. Faster than you can say help, the cops are after Millie and her crew. Our unlikely heroes hit the road, with Charlene hot on their tail. Where to hide? Discount Bonanza, of course. The sanctuary of discount goods and Millie's mom. They find a locker room to hide in as Joshua and Nyla go undercover as fashion stylists, trying to find Millie a proper disguise. Now Millie's mom starts a heart-to-heart through the locker door. Millie learns about her mom's feeling about her dad's death. And here's where it gets sitcom-worthy. Mama Millie, moved by the manly voice on the other side of the door, asks him out for coffee. Millie panics, fumbles out a lie about being married. Saved by Charlene, they make a quick exit, leaving Millie with a mask and impaired vision. In a twist of modern detective work, Joshua pulls up Instagram and finds the Butcher's location, courtesy of a selfie-happy frat boy. The Butcher, meanwhile, is chilling with football jacks at the arcade, planning a makeshift prom at the old mill. When Brett, one of the boys, steps out of line, the Butcher whispers a sweet nothing into his ear, before grabbing a Swiss Army knife and beelining it for the haunted house. Booker, our knight in shining armor, smells a rat and rushes off to find Millie. The trio arrive at the arcade, eager to keep Booker from ending up as the Butcher's next side of beef. A quick swing of a golf club from Millie takes care of that. With Booker woozy and confused, they decide the safest place for him is unconscious. Back at Joshua's house, they tie the Butcher to a chair, tight enough to make Houdini sweat. While Joshua plays jailer, Nyla, Booker, and Millie head off on a daring mission to the police station. So Nyla takes a quick turn as the Butcher's latest victim, luring her out. Once she's solo, she hustles to grab the Dola from the evidence locker. The plot thickens over at Joshua's. His mom walks in, more than a little curious about why Millie's trussed up like a Thanksgiving turkey. Joshua offers a white lie about a game, but mom's not buying it. She strides over, knife in hand, to free Millie, but Butcher's already untied and snatches the knife. Cue the Benny Hill music as the Butcher chases them around the house. Joshua and mom manage a daring escape into a room, slamming the door shut. Back at the station, Nyla's got the Dola, but Charlene's back and her spidey sense is tingling. She orders Nyla to drop the Dola and give it a good old-fashioned kick. Meanwhile, romance is blooming in the car. Booker comes clean about his crush on Millie, and they share a kiss. Awkward, considering Millie's currently wearing the Butcher's face. Suddenly, they spot the Butcher, wearing Millie's body like a Halloween costume, heading into the police station. Millie, in the Butcher's skin of course, follows. Charlene doesn't miss a beat and shoots. Chaos ensues with Nyla and the Butcher scrabbling for the Dola. The Butcher gets the upper hand, and the dagger, slashing Nyla's hand and bolting. Joshua almost ends up his roadkill as the Butcher speeds off. Charlene tries to wrangle Millie into the holding cell, but Booker's distraction gives Millie the chance to lock Charlene in and make a break for it with the gang. They're off to the old mill prom, but the clock's ticking. Booker sets a timer, 13 minutes until Millie's stuck as the Butcher forever. They split up to find the Butcher, currently chilling with Brett and Co. The boys try their best moves on him, not knowing he's got a different kind of action in mind. He cracks a bottle over one's head, slits another's throat, and gives Brett a close encounter with a chainsaw. Booker and Millie stumble upon the grisly scene and Booker splits to tell Nyla. Joshua, meanwhile, fends off advances from Phil, the football player, because he's got no time for love, Dr. Jones. Suddenly, a hook tears through the wall, impaling Phil's eye. Millie swoops in, saves Joshua, and they rally Nyla to the cause. Booker opts to stay back, playing decoy for the incoming cops. Millie tries for a Hail Mary, stabbing the Butcher to get her body back, but a cop shoots the dagger out of her hand. In the chaos, the Butcher grabs the dagger and bolts. Nyla's hot on his heels, tackling him to the ground. Joshua seizes the ancient dagger and passes it to Millie. She takes the plunge, stabbing her own body and reclaiming it from the Butcher. The cavalry, aka the cops, arrive just in time, pumping the killer full of lead. As the officers scour the scene for evidence, Millie and Booker get cozy, capturing a romantic moment on film. But the Butcher's not done yet. He's whisked away to the hospital, where he fakes his own death by slipping off the pulse oximeter on his fingertip. Back in Millie's house, she finds the back door ajar. Figuring her sis forgot to close up shop, she turns around, only to come face to face with the butcher, knife at her throat. Charlene to the rescue. She pumps the killer full of lead, or so she thinks. The butcher's a step ahead, stealing all the bullets. Millie's mom comes in swinging, bashing the butcher's head with a bottle. Charlene scrambles to reload, but the butcher knocks her out before she can finish. Millie grabs a knife but falters, lacking the courage to finish the job. The butcher grabs her arm and smacks her in the head. As he talks, Millie sees her chance to nail him where it counts. Charlene lands the killer blow with a chair, and Millie seals the deal with a wooden stake to the heart. The butcher falls to his knees.